Good morning, dear followers of De Wereld Morgen. That's The World Tomorrow in English, progressive news site in Belgium in the Dutch language. Today, we are honored with the presence of Rajagopal from India. Rajagopal is 74 and he's vice president, if I'm not wrong, for the Gandhi Peace Foundation, and has been an activist all his life in the fight against bonded labor, against poverty, exploitation for landed communities. He's an organizer, teacher, and also has organized lots of, for example, food marches, several of one. Good morning to you, Rajagopal. My first small question is, you have to understand our audience. India is one of the two biggest countries in the world, but this is Europe, and our mainstream media hardly ever report on. So our audience is willing to learn, but does not know a lot about the internal things, politics of India. So bear in mind that you explain this, that you're talking to an audience that is interested, but not always very well informed. First of all, I found on the internet that Rajagopal is actually your first name. Could you explain to us the importance why you want to be addressed not with your family name, but with your first name? Why is that important?
See, generally in, okay, thank you for inviting me to speak to this audience. And I know it is a very difficult time globally, and people have difficulty to really think about India while there are so many problems around them in their day-to-day life. So the issue is India has this caste system, you know, so, and your caste is identified with your surname, with your second name, generally. It is somewhat different in northern India and southern India, but in general, you can use your caste name as your second name, and that gives you the identity where you belong to. And some of us who belong to the Gandhian movement, the movement of Gandhi and Gandhi's philosophy, we feel that how do you get out of this caste system, which is discriminating one against the other? So the one possibility is that you don't identify yourself with any caste. You know, it's like you just say, this is my name. And maximum, if you want to have an identity, you take the name of your village or you take the name of your house. Why take the name of a caste? Because that identifies you with a caste, and then that begins with the discrimination. The other way is intercaste marriages, like Gandhi suggested, that you marry in another caste so that ultimately there will be no caste. All of us will be mixed up, which is very slow, which is not happening at the moment. So I opted to be in the first group where we don't use any caste name, so that you only express you are so and so. That's it. That's it. So not beyond. Yeah.
That's a very good explanation. Yeah. Now, India is this year 75 years of independence, but this year was also, and the year before, was also marked by what can be called the biggest mass protest movement, well, actually in history, although it was very underreported in our media here. Now, before we go into the character of this protest, could you explain to us what was so wrong about the land reform policy that the Modi government wanted to implement?
The laws that Modi government introduced were basically against farmers. Like if you ask, rather than protecting the farmers of India against an oppressive market, what Modi government was suggesting that the farmers can go to the market and sell their product. So the protection will be removed and they will be in the market. So it looks as if the government is suggesting that, look, you go to the person who will pay you the maximum. But you know, during a season, when you want to sell your products, you don't get the maximum. Everybody is trying to exploit you and then put everything in their go down. so that they can sell it later on in the open market. So this was not good for the farmers, or even the contract farming, for that reason, that big companies will come and the farmers will be asked to produce what they want, and they will pay you if the product is good. If the product is not of the quality, they will not pay you. So the farmers will be at a loss. So this was the reason why the farmers said all the 3 laws enacted by the government should be withdrawn. And the government was not willing to withdraw, but the agitation went for a long time, as you suggested, that it went for more than 1 year. And finally, the government was forced to withdraw. See, what one should understand, in countries like India, even now, about 60% of our people are into farming, and that is their major income. So if they are not protected, and in the name of development, if we continue to protect the corporate houses and land grabbing businesses, then the farmers have no place to go. So this was quite natural that the farmers decided that enough is enough, and we want to really fight it back. So that was a very, very successful struggle organized by the farmers to get their voice heard by the state. So that was very large, and they were able to bring various farm organizations together, farmers organizations together. So for the first time, one of the biggest farmers movement emerged in India around these 3 laws. And finally, the government was forced to withdraw those 3 laws, which were enacted seemingly in the interest of the farmers, but the farmers felt this is against us, and they fought against. Yeah.
Well, India has actually, and you have a lot of experience in that, a lot of a long history of marches to make governments change. And this one was the biggest one, even leading to the defeat of this government. Yet, and this is something that is maybe puzzling to outsiders, yet after such a big defeat, the Modi government, his party and so on, in the parliamentary, they won the parliamentary elections again. This, as an outsider, seems contradictory to me. But apparently there are other things that are in place here that have an influence. So how do you explain that the Modi government
there were two things.
Still won the elections?
Yeah. So there were 2 things. One, you are referring to the farmers' movement, where the farmers finally made the government to withdraw the acts. There was another movement led by me, Ekta Parishad, and that was against the Land Acquisition Rehabilitation Resettlement Act. This was also about land reforms. One is the farming community, one is landless people. Mm-hmm. Even in the landless people's movement, back in 2015, we were able to force the government to withdraw the ordinance that the government brought to dilute the act that was passed in 2013. Put the history in right perspective. In 2012, we organized a long march of 100,000 people to Delhi, and we were able to get an agreement called Agra Agreement. It was signed in Agra. And in 2013, as a result of this long march, a new act was enacted called Land Acquisition Rehabilitation Resettlement Act. So the Rehabilitation Resettlement was a new angle that brought into this Land Acquisition Act. So that is where the farmers had one victory in 2015. And the second victory was when the farmers organized themselves in a big way against these 3 acts brought by the government. So in both the cases, in order to protect the land, in order to get the right value for their land if the land is acquired, and also to take the law back. So I think the farmers movement and landless movement were building up in India since 2007, and every time when they came out in big number, they were able to make some good result. Now, your question is why, in spite of all this struggle, BJP is still powerful. There are other reasons, in spite of not being very good to farmers and landless laborers. India, it's a multicultural society, and in multicultural society, you can have the larger number of people who belong to one religion coming together. And to some extent, the policies of the government is saying, look, I mean, in a country where you have large number of Hindus, their issues need to be addressed, and their issues should be looked into. And that has somehow got into the Hindu mindset of India, that look, there is one government that is speaking about protecting us and taking our agenda forward, whether it is construction of a temple, whether it is protection of cows, etc. So the government was able to play on this idea of supporting and protecting the interest of majority of Indians. The Muslims are also Indians, but then it looks as if they are a minority community demanding too much. And so the idea of communal playing between communities, let me call it that way, playing between communities have given an edge to the party in power. And then, many activities that the government promoted immediately after COVID was a lot of relief work, distributing food and giving money to farmers and giving money to single women and women. So all that, the relief and the relief operations or the kind of welfare activities that the government promoted gave them an extra edge in the elections. So I think it is basically the approach to protect and promote one set of people, and also the approach of relief and providing service to people. That is how the party continued to stay in power. And I think in a country like India, where there is so much poverty, the service delivery or what you call the welfare activities make a lot of sense. It's like somebody is sending food to my house. Somebody is putting some money into my bank account. So government has understood that the operations of welfare kind is going to help people to continue to believe that this is a state that will protect our interest. So these are the two reasons why BJP could continue to win elections.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this explanation. Now, people like you, action groups like you, organizations, they don't just protest against the policies of the government, they also propose alternatives. And I looked up, could you expand a bit about this idea of Yay Jagat? I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. This
yes.
Non-violent economy. What is that?
See, what we are trying to say, the economy as it is today is very violent. It's like, it's a top-down model where very powerful people make a huge sum of money and poor people are left with nothing. So the land is taken, water is taken, all the forest is taken. So all the livelihood resources are taken for industrialization, and to commerce has become the major agenda for every country. So in such a situation, it's important to speak about an economy that is bottom up. So how do you begin from the bottom? Like Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough for everyone's need and not enough for anybody's greed. So it is a need and greed battle. That is what is happening in the world today. And Gandhi also said, what is important is not mass production, but production by masses. Every hand should have a possibility to produce something. So in non-violent economy, this is what we are trying to promote, that this economy, rather than crying about this model of economy, that this is top down, and it is exploitative, it is excluding millions of people at the bottom. It is important that we create a different kind of economy from bottom up. And so we were working in this direction by getting people land, then getting people together and forming cooperatives and promoting handicrafts and agriculture, organic agriculture. So I think you can criticize a model of economy, but you can also do something to promote a different kind of economic model. You know, social solidarity economy and local economy, these are all subject being discussed all over the world. So in India, we said, okay, we will have a non-violent economy model, and that is what we are developing now. And Yay Jagat is basically a concept of the world is together. You know, it is not in a world where we are facing this planetary crisis, we are facing this climate crisis. No country is going to be saved in isolation. So you need to be together. So Yay Jagat is like victory for the world. If at all we need to win together. One geographical area cannot win by defeating others. So how do you create a world consciousness, a planetary consciousness? And then how do you deal within that an economy that is bottom up, so people can participate and they can fight their own poverty rather than expecting a government to come and remove your poverty. And that is where the struggle, because the resources are controlled by the government and people need the same resources, land, water, and forest. And that is why Ekta Parishad and Yay Jagat was organizing large number of poor people to say, look, we don't need any help from the government, but then don't take away our resources. If you remember, when Gandhi was asked by the British, how can we help you, Mr. Gandhi, to recreate an economy of India? He said, don't help me, you get off my back. You know, it's like you are sitting on my back, eating all my resources, and you are asking me, how can we take you out of poverty? So you get out of our back. So that is the attitude we have taken through many years of work, organizing people at the bottom, helping people to control the local resources, create an economy of their own, and then do all that non-violently and think about a planet. We are part of that planet. So any understanding or knowledge we gain, we need to share it with others and create a world where sharing and caring becomes the norm, not exploiting the other. Yeah, that is what is non-violent economy all about.
Rajagopal, thank you very much. This is an important message to the people here in Europe. I mean, when I say the people, I mean the ordinary people, not the governments, not the European Commission, etc., who have a different opinion on what the future should look like. And instead, what you offer is something of a solution that should be applied here elsewhere. So thank you very much for this kind explanation. And thank you, followers of the Wereldmorgen, for following. Don't forget to support us or subscribe to our thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.